Well, hey there, friend, and welcome back for another episode of the Your Hair Mentor podcast, where I'm your host and your hair mentor, Crystal Green. And I invite you to come take a listen to the top leaders and thinkers and experts and innovators in the beauty industry as they share their stories of triumph and struggles and success in creating their businesses behind the chair. I hope you enjoy these episodes just as much as I did recording them. See you on the inside, friends.
With you. So, first, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and like where you're at and who you are? Who are you, Macy?
Yeah. So I'm Macy. Professionally, I was behind the chair for 17 years and I did commission. I had like my own like kind of sweet place, booth rent. I worked as a director for a cosmetology school and handled their marketing. So I've done a little bit of everything, educated for a national brand. And I stepped away at the end of 2020. That's when I stepped away from the chair to do marketing full time. I'd been doing some on this side for about 3 years prior to that. So I've been doing it for about 5 years now. It was like 2020, I think was like, it was just like a big, I think it forced a lot of us into like big changes.
For
And there
sure.
were things like happening in my personal life that made my time not 100% mine anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of precipitated some changes. And I'll say, like, deciding to step away from the chair, it wasn't an easy choice, but I was never that stylist who was in love with hair. You know what I mean? Like, I did it because I enjoyed it and I was good at it. But
Mm-hmm.
what I found is like what I enjoy about working with salon owners and marketing is exactly the same thing that I liked about being behind the chair. And I think I just kind of like helping people and making people feel good about how they look. And so with salon owners and stylists, it's just how you look online instead of, how you look walking your kids into school or whatnot.
Right, right. You know, it's funny. I feel like a lot of us, how long were you shut down for in the pandemic? Like when you were non-essential shut down?
So I'm in Indiana and it was not that long, but it was still, I think it was 5 weeks,
Okay.
which was a
Yeah.
significant amount of time. I have 4 kids at home and we started spending all that time together. And then, so, I mean, that was part of the thing, my time not being my own. And then my dad has some health challenges and,
Mm,
that it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's fallen on me, but I've taken it on.
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
I know for me in Nevada here, we were closed for 4 months.
Wow.
And that was the longest, even including childbirths. That was the longest I had been away from my business in my entire adult life. And I found it was the only time I've ever stepped back to actually figure out like what brings me joy. You know what I mean? Like I had like a moment to breathe and be like, okay, what am I doing? And I feel like a lot of people did that at that time.
Yeah, same. I say 5 weeks, but after I had my first daughter, I went back to work 4 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have 4 kids
Mm-hmm.
and relatively easy pregnancies and births. So it was never a big deal for me to jump right back in. I was ready, not
Same.
necessarily like full time, but I was ready. I was ready to get back there and get back at it. So yeah,
Totally.
but it had been a decade. It had
Right.
been a decade since I'd had that long off. So it
Right.
was a real eye opener.
Interesting. Yeah. No. Okay. So cool. So then you started coaching. What does that look like exactly? I've seen you talk about that on your social media where you have like a salon client for the day. Like walk me through what that is.
Yeah. So I work with people in a lot of different ways. I have clients that are like long-term clients that I stay with monthly, and I'm doing their social media for them. We connect every once in a while, but I'm doing all the day to day. I'm putting the posts out there and all of that. And then I have other clients, and these tend to generally be like salon owners who need marketing. They don't have the time, they don't also have the funds to bring somebody on. And that, when I talk with salon owners, that it's like dream level to hand off all of the social media.
Yeah.
But I work with people, I call it a VIP day. Basically, I meet with you for a day and I gather a ton of information. And then a couple weeks later, I come back to you with a marketing plan. So it's strategy and everything. It's like, so And it's basically, you have a lot of decisions made for you in advance. And I just work 2 weeks constantly on that. Sometimes it's longer depending on what their needs are, but that's just everything I'm doing. Because
Gotcha.
my day-to-day clients, I have systems set up so like it doesn't take me long to manage my day-to-day clients. So I have large amounts of time to commit to putting together somebody else's plan over the course of a couple of weeks.
Gotcha. So then you come back to that like VIP client that you essentially had a coaching session with, and then do you come in with like framework for them where like here's what you're going to do for the next like until eternity, like a formula they follow, or like how do you?
Yeah. So
Okay.
most of those clients, and again, it's a little bit different, but they want something that's really structured. So like I'll do, the most common thing is 4 posts a week.
Mm,
So we'll have it mapped out for the whole year, 4 posts a week with, this is the subject, this is what you're going to have on your visuals, this is the kind of salon value that you want to highlight in this, and here's a detailed caption prompt.
mm,
So that's what they see when they go to make a post every day. And then we go over things like, let's set up some systems in your business so that you're not searching for videos, so that you're not searching or, trying to get stuff from your stylists. Because so often what happens is like a salon owner, when I worked in the last salon I was at was a commission salon. And, my owner was always like, hey guys, I need you to send me your pictures. I need to send me your pictures. And what happens is nobody ever sends pictures. Nobody ever sends videos. And then she was trying to scramble and get everything together. And what I found is so much easier is like, instead of, hey, Macy, send me some pictures, is, hey, Macy, I noticed you've got Kara on your books for a highlight on Wednesday. I need you to take before and after pictures of Kara. And I've booked 5 extra minutes on that appointment for you. So just setting up like little things like that and giving the owner clarity so that she can give clarity to her stylists usually.
mm.
And that's a lot of times that like kind of missing link. And then even if you were an independent stylist, it's, easy enough to see how you can apply that to yourself. Just if you're looking out for the month ahead and you're like, I've got highlights, that I want to post about, I've got highlights coming into my chair this week. And so I'm going to make sure I get some pictures of that so that I have them for next month.
You know, marketing for me is like I hear these things and I'm like, duh. But it's not a natural thing for me to think about as like an individual stylist, running my own suite and my space. I don't think of these kind of things, right? So for me, I'm the scrambler. I'm like last minute, like, I gotta post something on social media. So I'm like scrolling through my like photos and videos that I just haphazardly took with no rhyme or reason. I'm just like, oh, this is pretty. I'm gonna take some pictures of it.
Yeah.
I never have ever thought about that ahead of time. Like, oh, I'm gonna look at so and so and I'm gonna make sure to set some time aside to take photos of that person so that I can use it for this. But it makes so much sense. It
Well,
blows
and
my
I would
mind.
say, like, I think that there are no secrets to like social media. There's no like real like hacks or anything like that. It's like systems and processes.
Totally.
Everybody who you see really being successful on social media, and I say success for me has to define, like, it has to feel good for the person doing it. So everybody who's being successful on social media just has the systems and processes. That's the only difference. Is the only difference.
It's so true. We met in a class together for anyone
Mhm.
that is curious, that had to do with like some marketing stuff too. And once I started learning about this stuff and realizing that some of the like big names out there, even just in the hair industry, follow like a recipe for their social media posts. Like there's different flavors of social media posts, right? Like this one's like a behind the scenes, and this one's a I'm going to show you something, and this one's funny. I started seeing this pattern emerge in everyone's social media where I'm like, oh my God, I see it everywhere now. And like as a consumer, I wasn't aware of that. I didn't feel like I was being fed some like, regimented recipe of stuff. It
Yeah.
just was like appealing and it made sense. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, like how did I not see this as the consumer? It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And like I can see how if you have a system set up, it would just make it so easy, you know? That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. Well, and I always say, I think the hardest part about social media is when you were talking about like doing it on the fly. And actually, I just did a reel about this morning that went on, but that like that doing it on the fly, like that feels hard because you're having to make so many choices right at that moment.
Totally. Yeah.
And for a lot of people, like if you're that person that if somebody says, where do you want to go eat? And you're like, I don't know, is because there's too many choices.
Yes.
Whereas if somebody says, do you want to go out for Italian or do you want to get burgers? Like that starts to get much easier.
So true. So true.
It's just, it feels so hard because it's not just what am I going to post about? It's what's the picture going to be? Or am I going to do a picture? Is it going to be a video? Or is it going to be a carousel? Or are we going to be doing like a post that just has some like glitteries floating around with some text on the screen? Like having to make all of those decisions at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
And this is also specific for like businesses, especially like if for my personal Instagram page, it's like anything that inspires me. You know what I mean? I'll like, oh, like this is cute, boop, and take a picture of it. It doesn't need to have a purpose or a rhyme or a reason. And I think when we have a business where we're trying to like portray something or like gain customers' attention, then there needs to be a system and a process. And I feel like I follow a lot of hairstylists on social media now that I can tell they're doing the like just, oh, I'm going to take a picture of something cute. Eat. You know what I mean? Like there's no rhyme or reason to it at all whatsoever. It doesn't like serve their audience. It doesn't really do anything. And I'm like, okay, this isn't useful for anyone.
That's like, that's like hamster wheel stuff. Like I'm doing it to do it. I said I was going to do it and I'm going to do it. And that's not a bad place to start, but it's not a place you want to stay.
Right. Right. Okay. So then, so you've got these like VIP days for salon owners. So it's basically like one-on-one coaching sessions. And then you have your clients or your customers where you're taking care of their full programming for them. Yeah. But I know you're working on something else. What else are you doing?
So it's to just show salon owners and independent stylists specifically. I would not say that this is probably best suited for a commission stylist unless you're planning to make an exit within the next couple of years. But it's really designed for owners or people who are really in charge of their own stuff to learn how to do that VIP day stuff by themselves. And it just walks them through the process that I generally do work in like 2 weeks, day and night, but it's spread out over about 5 weeks. Just walking through the process. And what it starts out is it's a lot of decisions and it's a lot of brainstorming.
Okay.
And then kind of as you move through everything, it gets much easier because then it's like, okay, so this is everything we have. Let's put it together. And then let's learn how to break it down for the clients. Let's set up some systems and some processes to make sure that we can do this. And the end goal is that in kind of like in a rotating fashion, you as the salon and salon owner work for 2 weeks to create a 30 post, which would roll out over the next 6 weeks. So you work for 2 weeks and then take a 4-week break.
Wow.
If you follow that, you can work for 2 weeks, gathering information and using as much of your resources as you have available. And then everything's just going to post, but you get to take breaks from it.
Right. That sounds so appealing. As someone that's like one woman show for everything right now, like at some point, like you said, pipe dream, I would love to be able to hand off things to people, but right now that's just not feasible unless someone wants to work for free. I'll put that out there right now. If anyone wants to come in, I'm here. But having something like that would make life so much easier because I literally am like, oh shoot, I didn't post today. I got to post something. And I have a few I have like a folder in my phone that's like ideas, you know what I mean? So I have these things kind of like saved, but there's no like organization or anything. So I'm just like shooting from the hip, like whenever I can sit down and, kind of be on my phone for 10 minutes.
That's so, I would say that that's normal.
Yeah.
But maybe we don't want to be normal.
Right. No, because I think it is, but the people that I feel like it at least looks like they're doing really well on the outside. They have a huge following. They're like stylists doing their like educational tours. They have all these things that I feel like I aspire to be. They obviously have a formula and they have a system. And I feel like those that succeed all do that. Even if it's like Color by Carlos, who's just a comedian, like he has a system and a rhythm to when he posts and what he posts about. And so I'm like, I bet you anything, he plans this stuff out way in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Cool. So you're going to have that available to people to kind of like, is it going to be like drip content? Like they sign up for something and then it's like their stuff is delivered to them for 5 weeks in a
Yeah.
row? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll drip out. It comes out. So I have a small group that I'm taking through right now just to kind of work out some of the kinks. I have a small number of people working through that, and I drip out a lesson on Sunday night. It gets delivered, and Monday afternoon, then we meet for about a 15 to 30-minute Zoom just to answer any questions that they might have. Because it really is work at your own pace. And even a lot of the times, especially in that the first couple weeks, which is so much in your head,
Mm-hmm.
because it's making a lot of choices. I say you need to work and then you need to take a break for 24 hours and then come back. Like, do not try to do this all at once. You'll burn your brains. You'll be scrambled.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that's kind of how it works. And then at the end of it all, review everything with you, answer any questions, and help you figure out like what kind of tweaks you need to make it right for your business.
Okay. Do you get people together in like groups? So you do these Zooms like as a group or like individual Zooms?
Right now it's individual Zooms.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm dealing with people in 3 different time zones.
Yeah, that's kind of difficult. As we
Yeah.
have
And so
found
I'm
out.
on Eastern. And so I've
Yeah.
got one person on Eastern, and then I've got somebody on Central, and I've got somebody on Pacific.
Yeah.
So I would,
Gotcha.
in an ideal world, yes, everybody all at
Mm-hmm.
once, but not
Yeah.
right now.
I imagine in the future you might want to have like some sort of a community or like membership kind of group where people can go have like social media support group, you
Mhm.
know? Like,
Yes.
hey, I'm not doing really well with this kind of post. Can anyone give me some ideas on this? Because I feel like that would be super valuable, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That's
cool.
definitely, some point. That's
Uh-huh.
great.
So do you have any idea how soon you will be launching this to the world?
So it should be the end of February.
Oh,
I had initially planned on the end of January, like as I mentioned with my dad's health. We had some, over the holidays, things just got crazy, and I just had to put a few things on the back burner, really. And I was it's kind of funny because like everything's done. This is everything I've been doing for clients for a couple years now. It's just trying to make it consumable and digestible for somebody else to read, because I've got my process down pat, but I mean,
right.
explaining somebody else how to do your own process
Mm-hmm.
is
Totally.
just a lot of busy work.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and then I think we don't realize how much like I've done this with small classes too where it's like you're delivering information but then you're doing a lot of this talking also to go with it, so it's like supplementing what you're handing people or showing people and you don't realize how valuable that extra talking is.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out how to add in it's like that little bit of coaching throughout all those lessons so that they can like hear your voice, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then also trying to keep track of all the things that I forget that people don't know, because
Yes.
I'm in marketing all the time now. Like that's all I'm doing now. It's not like before when I was hair and marketing. Like this is all I do. And so I sometimes I forget about stuff.
Oh, I've had that experience before just in hair, right? Where I've had
Yeah.
apprentices working for me and I'm teaching and I'm like instructing as I'm going along, thinking I'm covering everything. And then the apprentice is like, "Oh, why did you cut that piece right there?" And then I'm like, "Oh, okay, wait, we got to go like 5 steps back." I
Yeah.
like totally forgot that like they didn't even know that little piece of the puzzle that to me is like second nature and I don't even think about it. So I'm sure there's a lot of that with what you're doing. Like to me, those little things are going to be like mind-boggling with
Yeah.
marketing and I'm just like, "What?" I had no idea, Wait, tell
Yeah.
me more about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said before, like the whole thing is just so fascinating to me. And I understand why businesses have entire marketing departments too. Like social media stuff it's such a small piece of the puzzle too.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm I'm happy that you're doing something like this, and I will probably be signing up for your course because I'm like, obviously I need some systems and some processes and time. Like I would love to have some time back that I know I'm spending on this that I don't need to be.
Yeah. And I always, that for me is, and I don't know if it wasn't always this way. And it might be because my kids are getting older and I'm really understanding this time as a thief thing, you know. My oldest turns 18 this summer, which is bizarre. I know, right? It's
Oh my
not,
gosh.
it's super not cool. Uh, but I'm like, you know, I just do not, I have, because I have sat at my kids' games working on my client's social media. And I've
Mhm.
done it and I've sat there, you know, at practices and rehearsals working on my own. And about 18 months ago, I just was like, I am not doing that anymore. And I've really got to like buckle down, really systematize things, really make all of this like slick because I want to protect as much white space on my calendar as I possibly can. And if I want that for myself, I cannot be a hypocrite and like over prescribing what people should be doing on their own social media just to make it seem like what I'm offering is more valuable. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
I
Oh.
think a lot of times we're oversold.
Mhm.
We're
Totally.
oversold. If you listened to anybody talking about digital marketing 18 months ago, and I'm guilty of this, I made this post 14 to 21 posts a week for growth.
Wow.
For
That's crazy.
right? I bought into it. I repeated it. And like, I'm here to say, like, that is false.
Mhm.
Like, that is false. I dialed back my clients and I said, let's do 3 or 4. We saw no changes,
Mm.
no negative changes, and only positive changes for them personally.
Mm. Man, that resonates with me so much. I'm good about not like personally consuming social media. I'm not that.
Yeah.
I think if I wasn't trying to run a business, I don't think I would be on it most of the time,
Yeah.
because I feel like it's definitely a time suck for me. Like I can't tell you, I hate and love TikTok so much. There's been so many times I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna look really quick, and then I come out of it like, what happened? It's been an hour. You know what I mean? I hate that, right? But I make excuses when it's business stuff, right? So same thing. We'll be like somewhere with the kids, and I have my phone out, and I'm like quote unquote working because I'm like trying to make a social media post that I didn't do an hour ago because I was making them breakfast. So now I'm like, well, I have to do it now. And then I'm like, but now I'm not paying attention to them doing their things.
Yeah.
And like, this is not great either. And all they see is me on my phone. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
bleh. I
Yeah. And when
don't
you're a
like that.
business owner, you do get kind of, it is easy. You're right. It is easy to put that phone down for personal reasons. If
Yeah.
you're like, I'm actually scrolling for inspiration, which is a real thing.
Yes. 100%.
And like an hour goes by like it was nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I had this girl, a local Reno girl that is, I don't actually know what she calls herself, but she basically takes care of people's social media for them if you
Hmm.
want her to do that. I don't know if she has much of a system and a plan. More, she just will like post things for you.
Yeah.
But I was paying her for a short period of time to just do engagement on my social media.
Oh.
And so she would go and just basically find new people for me
Mhm.
and engage with them and then follow and unfollow. It seemed like a really simple thing, but the reason I bring this up is she's like, oh, it's so easy for me, Crystal. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I set a timer, 15 minutes, and I get on and I'm just like boop a doop a doop a doop, 15
Yep.
minute timer goes off, I turn it off, and that's it. So she's like, she has multiple clients where she does those 15-minute increments every day for a
Yeah.
week, right? And what's funny about that is like when she was doing that, I actually saw a lot of growth. And I'm like, her engagements were not even like anything. To me, I feel like when I'm engaging with someone, I actually have to be like heartfelt and like honest, which is what you want.
Yeah.
But she's just liking things, you know what I mean? But
Yep.
15 minutes of like not getting sucked into scrolling.
Mhm.
She's not trying to be inspired. She's just focused on
Yeah.
engagement. And it was huge.
Yeah.
I was like,
When
man,
I want it from now on, like when I want to do that now, I always make sure mine's at my desktop. I do it
ah,
from my desktop. I'm much more efficient that way. And so I do.
That's interesting.
I do like Instagramming on desktop for work.
Oh, I hate using Instagram on my desktop. It's not made for desktops.
No,
So it's
it's
like a
not. It's not.
clunky, but that's probably a good thing because then you're not like sucked in like you would be on your phone with that easy little thumb swipe,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of clever. I like that actually.
Yeah. It's not
Well,
as addictive on desktop.
no, no, not at all. Cool. Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about on here, the juicy stuff. I feel like speaking of scrolling and all this other stuff, I have seen this kind of attitude emerge in our industry, and it drives me bananas. I hate it. And the attitude is these hairstylists that are like, they seem like their clients are like invaluable, right? And they're almost like, ugh, whatever, I don't need that person. I'll get 10 more clients just like them. And
Yeah.
then with that attitude comes this like client shaming, which is something that you brought up the other day. And I was like, ooh, I want to talk to you about that a little bit more. So I'm not going to say I've never done it, right? I've been in the industry for over 20 years and I've had lots of break room conversations with people where maybe there was someone that I'm just like frustrated with. And it's because I had a hard time communicating with my client and couldn't figure out what their wants and needs and desires were. And so then instead of realizing I need to try to work with this person, or maybe we don't jive together, it was like I wanted to just vent to someone. So it was in the break room. It wasn't recorded. It wasn't said to anyone else. And it was like, oh, I'm just frustrated with this person, right? And now these hairstylists are doing this on social media because they think it's funny. And like maybe it's a tiny bit funny, but it's mostly super rude. And I'm curious what you have to say about this because I know my thoughts on it. But tell me your thoughts on this client shaming culture that seems to be emerging.
Yeah. So I think that you're totally right. I think it starts in that break room, starts in
Mm-hmm.
that back room. And, I say if you need to have that discussion, that's a great place to leave it. But then it's like, are you taking it a step further and you're putting it out there online, even in private groups, right? Because like it feeds it. It feeds it. And then that does, I think, then it leads to they're almost always, I never see anybody come out and be like straight up rude about clients, like in their public personas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like their professional Instagram, professional Facebooks, but I see a lot of stuff. It's just like passive aggressive. It's backhanded. It's even, I think most of the time people think it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just doing it. They're like, and it's because their clients are doing something they want them to stop doing.
Yes.
And they're like, I'll just make a joke out of it.
Right. And they think they're doing it for the likes. That has to be it, right? Like they think that it's going to get them attention.
And it does, from hairstylists who don't sit in your chair, who don't pay your bills,
yes,
who actually would rather have your clients, everything on the table. Like you don't want your clients, I'll take them.
Exactly. I know. That's the part I don't understand is like you think you're being funny, but like to me, anytime anything is put into the internets, it's available for anyone to find and see. And so like if you're okay with your client that you're making fun of seeing that video or all of their friends seeing that video, then okay, put it out there. But like
in fact, so I am in an industry group for a brand. And it's for owners that carry this particular brand in their salon. And somebody had commented that the group wasn't private. And so somebody had posted about an experience with the client and they gave enough details about it. And they really had kind of badmouthed this client and people saw it because she was friends with some of her clients. Like it got out there.
Yes.
But it's for the likes. And
yeah.
And it's chasing this like social media fame and fortune
that's going to put their business in the toilet because then you're going to have no clients. And imagine, I know clients have said this personally too, where I've been in a salon and they overheard another stylist telling another client about a client. It was like they were venting to their client about like, oh my God, this girl that was just in here, can you believe this? And my client looking at me and being like, I would be so concerned that as her client, like she's going to turn around and talk shit about me to the next client. Like that's just not okay. And I'm like, I completely agree. Like there's no reason to do that at all whatsoever. It's so unprofessional.
Well, and I say we're in the beauty industry and that's ugly behavior.
Ooh, I like that.
It's like, I
Yes.
don't want ugliness. You don't want ugliness associated with your brand. Ugliness inside. Like really, you don't
Yeah.
want ugliness inside.
Mm,
And sure, is there going to be a client who thinks it's funny? Yeah, probably. But I also guarantee it's probably not your favorite client.
sure.
The
Yeah.
clients who are going to like that are probably not the clients that you really enjoy working
Right.
with. And
Yeah.
or you'll have some of your like friend clients who they do understand how this kind of stuff really affects you, and so they'll be like on it for you, but they're not the clients.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth
I
it.
think it's not worth it. It's a
Yeah.
really really risky gamble,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people will just be like, oh, it's just kind of like a negative vibe, or you've just made people feel uncomfortable,
Right.
and then they feel nervous about coming to you the next appointment, which has them thinking like, well, I like my hair, but I don't know if I love my hair. And
Yeah.
so it does not take much, especially, right, like recession, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's looking for something to either
Yes.
get more value for the money that they spend or to get the same thing for a lesser amount.
Right.
They're looking for that more value option, and you
Right.
just don't want to give them reason. You don't want to give them a real reason to look somewhere else.
Totally. Totally. No, I love that you just said that it's ugly behavior and we're in the beauty industry. And to me it's also like I try to be classy in my business, right? Like I will definitely drop F-bombs and say inappropriate things that a 12-year-old boy would love in my personal life.
Oh yeah,
But in my professional life, it's like I get into work and I like put on my professional crystal hat and I'm not going to be dropping F bombs. I'm going to be classy, right? Because
yeah,
I want, I want to have like the same persona per se for my 80-year-old clients or my 18-year-old clients. You know what I mean? Like I am professional crystal
yep,
fits into this whole
yeah.
thing. And like trash talking people is not classy behavior. To me, like that fits into the stereotypical trashy hairdresser behavior that I know so many of us are trying to like get away from. You know, there's been, and as I'm sure you can see this like push in our industry for probably like the last 10 years to like truly elevate the career. Because I know when I first started, it was like almost like a joke that I was a hairstylist, right?
Oh
Like I'd
yeah,
meet new people in a social setting and they'd find out I was a hairstylist and it was like, "Oh, that's cute. Good for you, honey." You know,
yeah,
kind of this like condescending like, "Oh, okay, well maybe you'll grow up someday and do something real."
yeah.
But in the last like decade or so, people in general, like the general public, I think understand that you can make a good living as a
Right.
hairstylist. And so now I feel like I meet people and I'm like, "Oh, I'm a hairstylist." And they're like, "Ooh." It's like this like sexy,
Yeah,
interesting
yeah.
career, right? Like, "Ooh, that's fun. Good for you. Oh, what do you specialize in?" Right?
Mhm.
And so the industry is being elevated. And so I hate this trashy behavior that like keeps it low and keeps it cute, you know. And I'd see that and I want to be like, no, stop it, you are not the
Yeah,
same as me, we are not on the same trajectory. I hate that I get lumped in with behavior like that, you know.
yeah,
It
yeah.
just
I
makes me
agree. It's just leave it in the break room.
right, right,
And um, if you don't ever want it repeated, don't put it in writing.
exactly. And video,
Even
it
if we're
counts as
talking
the
about these
same.
like private stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. And there are some like big name influencer hairstylists that are like coaching people by this kind of behavior too. And I so badly, like I'm probably going to at some point start calling them out. I've started a folder on my social media, like you know how you can like save posts or
Oh
whatever.
yeah,
I have a saved folder just called disagree. And I'm like, I see stuff that I'm like, disagree, disagree. And I'm like, at some
Yeah,
point, I'm going to have some rebuttals. I haven't like got the cojones yet to do it because I know there's going
I
to be
know.
some backlash. But I'm like, okay, so for example, this one gal had a post, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and it was like a carousel of photos that just had writing on it. And the first one, so the one that everyone sees, is like, my client, why I charged my client a no-show fee and then fired her or something.
Mhm.
It's just like this snarky, like
Yeah.
rude kind of thing. And the story goes, her client was going to be late for her appointment. She texted her like, "I'm so sorry, I have a flat tire. I'm going to be like 15 minutes late for a 3-hour appointment. Can I still come?" And the stylist gets the text like at the time of the appointment and is like, "Yes, come on down." And then the client was like, "Oh, well, I was waiting for you to respond, so I'm leaving now. I'll actually be there in like 25 minutes." And then the
I know
stylist,
exactly the post that you're talking about.
"Okay, okay." And then she was like, "Actually, don't come. You missed it and you're getting charged for your entire appointment." And then she goes on to like reveal like this letter that she gets from her client after, where the client is basically like, "I've been coming to you for years. I love you. I've never been late before. I cannot believe that you treated me like this." And the stylist was trying to use it as like an example to set boundaries. And I'm like, no. I disagree so strongly with this. Like, you're full on client shaming this person. And like, I don't know. Yeah. Tell me your thoughts about that.
Yeah. So if I think I remember this exact one. And while I think she handled it professional, I just question whether that policy is professional.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I just don't know anybody that would do that to me. And I see a
Right.
lot of people that have cancellation policies. My chiropractor has a cancellation policy. Um, but if I'm being honest, what we're really more on par with is a really nice restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
I really think, because there's a whole range, right? You can go to McDonald's
Mm-hmm.
or you can go someplace that's 150, 150 a plate. There's like
Mm-hmm.
the whole range of it. And those nice places, you got to make a reservation.
Mm-hmm.
I've missed reservations. I've been late. I've never had somebody not hold a table for me. And I've certainly never had a restaurant tell me that I was not welcome back.
Right. Right. That's an interesting analogy. Yeah, because a lot of people want to, including me, have equated us to, yeah, like dentists and doctors. Like, I know I've complained before, like, you'd never no show your dentist. And I'm like, well, people do actually no show their
No, no,
dentists
my
still.
dentist actually has a no-show
Yeah,
fee now.
right, right. And that's kind of a
Yeah.
new thing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. The restaurant analogy is good. Now, I have fired clients before,
Oh,
but it
yeah.
was like, you really gotta do me wrong for me to say like, I'm really sorry, this is just not working out for me. I'm losing money and
Yeah.
whatever. There's a way to
Yeah.
go about it. It's never easy, but I just don't like that people are being coached to this like rude, snarky attitude about it, because again,
And
I
no
think it,
grace.
yeah,
No grace
yes,
in any of it. There's
yes,
no room
no
for,
class.
yeah. There's no, like, not so rigid. And I love a good cancellation policy because I think a good one means you hardly ever have to use it.
Yes. Yes. Right. It's
I mean,
just a
that,
matter of like setting expectations for your clients, right? And it sounds like there was expectations from this client. Like, she didn't just say, "Hey, I'm going to be late." It was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm going to be late. May I still come?"
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I know that I'm going to be, putting you in a pinch. And then in her response letter afterwards, after she got fired, she was like, "I would have been perfectly happy with like a lesser service." You know what I mean? Like, paying for the full price, but getting less, knowing that I took your time. And so to me, like, what more can you ask for from your clients? Like, I just feel I want that client. Like, if if she ever hears this, I'm available. You can come to Reno, Nevada. I will see you happily.
Yeah.
Because
Fact,
that's
I worked
respectful.
with a business coach at one point, and she was talking about cancellation policies. And so her thing for that was, she was like, if you can price yourself to be profitable where you want to be at 80% utilization,
Okay. Unpack
you
that for me a little bit. What does that mean exactly?
so that Most of the time we look, okay, if I were like 100% booked,
Uh-huh.
this is what I would need to make. But she said, if you can do that in 80% utilization, then
Okay.
she was like, so you're priced that way. And I think that's where like the restaurant thing came in. Cause she said that's what high value restaurants do is they don't actually rely on like their business isn't going to die if they have 5 people not show up for their reservation one night.
Ah,
Like
okay.
they're not going to not hit their benchmarks because the tables weren't all full all the time. They're still going to hit them all. So they don't, you know, it's built in there so that somebody will not show and they'll still be able to make their thing. And it might just be to the client say, hey, like I do not have time to fit you in. Here are a few stylists. I mean, there's so many ways to work that, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
if you're like, I have a schedule, I can't see you again for 3 more months, but here's 3 girls I could send you to, you know. That's why I always think it's always really important to stay in touch with other stylists in the area
Yes. Yes.
because I think about like that situation because there's that lag. I was waiting to hear back from you. Oh, I didn't hear back from you, and now it's too late. And
Right.
sometimes as a stylist, I cannot do what you would want
Right.
this time, and it's just not going to work, and I don't have time. I can put you as first call on my cancellation list if I have another cancellation list, or
Right.
why don't you go see Abby? I know that she can probably hook you up. My last salon that I was at, a stylist had been a commissions, had been there prior, and then she was independent. And so how it is when you're independent, you don't have any backup.
Yeah.
And so her old salon became her backup. She was like, hey, she was like, you can call them. She's like, somebody will see you.
Yes.
And she was like, and if you book, she was like, I'm happy to give them your formula so that they use the same thing.
Right. Right.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
but I feel like there's so many workarounds to that cancellation
Oh,
policy. And
yeah.
I hate cancellation policies posted online because it opens up the doors for people who don't get it
Yeah.
become trolls.
Yes. Yes. It's just, yeah, to me, it's not necessary either. And it's like, I think it feels like that kind of like snarky, weird behavior of like, here's my cancellation policy, take it or leave it.
Yeah,
And
my
I
time's
don't
more
like that.
important. My money's
Yeah.
more important. I'm more
Ex-
important.
yes,
It's
exactly.
really, it feels really entitled. And
Yes.
because it's such a tricky conversation to have. I think it has to happen in person. It
Yes.
shouldn't happen over text. Nobody should find out about a cancellation policy on a screen.
Yeah.
Like if you have one, you know what? If you talk to your clients about, say, I have it, and if you explain to them in person why you have it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
if they're not into that and you said it to them,
Right.
they have self-selected themselves out of your business.
Right.
And guess what? Now you're never going to have to enforce that.
Right. Now, what about this? So I totally agree with you 100%. And I think that's because what we do for a living, standing behind the chair, is interact with people, right? And so it seems authentic and genuine to have those conversations face to face because most of our interactions with our clients are face to face,
Oh
right?
yeah.
It's a face to face relationship we have with someone. It's very personal. What about these like young kids that are coming into the industry that like severely lack the social skills to have those kind of conversations with people? I'm actually like a little concerned about what's going to happen in the next like 5 to 10 years where these young stylists have been coached to post your cancellation policy because it's easier. It's much easier to just post it than to tell someone that. And I don't know what this is going to do for the like interpersonal relationships with clients and hairstylists, you know?
Yeah. You know what? It is a generational thing. So like I mentioned, my daughter is turning 18 this summer. And so I've stopped taking care of some things for her. So like if she wants to schedule, she needs an appointment, she now has to take care of it. Some places don't have online scheduling and she hates that. Or she has to call. And so we have scripts.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, here are some notes. Don't get off this phone call until you know what this is. I think it will be tricky. Um, but I also feel like the pendulum has swung so far. It will have to. And I think that in the next few years, what you're going to see is like, I'm beauty, like beauty industry world. I'm on the older end,
Right. I
I'm
am
like
too.
over 40 and I've been at this for a while. And when I came up, it was social media wasn't there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And but it came along early enough in my life that it was easy for me to pick up. So it's a really unique way to have been able to see kind of like both sides of it. That I
Mm-hmm.
think you'll see stylists who never got that in-person stuff just start saying, hey, I didn't get it, you have to have it, because all they've heard now was, I had it and you need it, which doesn't, it just doesn't land the same. I think we need more people willing to say, I didn't have it and this is how it hurt me, because I don't know how it hurt me. I can see really easily how not having those communication skills hurts other people, but I don't know how it hurt me because
Yeah.
it really hasn't.
Right. Yeah, I wonder, so like with what I'm trying to do with my online courses and stuff is I'm hyper focused on like customer service. Like
Yeah.
literally the interactions with you and your clients and how that shapes your business and makes people feel trusted and valuable and all these wonderful things. But so far it's just been like scripts to use when you have to ask the right questions and like what to do if something's not going as planned, all those kind of things. But I've wondered with this small, section of the public that I'm talking about that might lack these social skills, like I wonder if they even need like how to make eye contact or like when like touch your client as soon as they come in. You know what I mean? There's all these like things that to me are second nature, right? Someone comes in, hi, how's it going? I shake their hand or put my hand on their arm, come on over, and I'm immediately touching them and talking to them and eye contacting them. And like little social cues that I feel like these young people are lacking. And I'm like, do I need to include that in my teaching? Is that a thing?
Yeah. You know
you
what? I
know?
would. It's so funny. I was out with my niece a while ago and I ran into an old client of mine. Um, and I am in my personal life, I am not touchy feely. Like
Same.
that was a big hurdle for me to overcome in this industry, was like I was going to be touching people. I know, right? I'm like, well, I have to touch them. And
Uh-huh.
I had to realize that people were going to want to hug me. And I was like, oh, like, what do I do? Because I did not come from a family of huggers. Like, I think my dad has hugged me. I could probably count on one hand for sure.
Same.
It would not take me more than two. I would not be needing to borrow a hand to count that. So, that part, like I can empathize with. I literally had to learn how, but she was so funny. She was like, you like touched his arm while you were talking to him. She was like, that was weird. I never see you do that. And I was like, well, I ran into him. Like he is my client. And so, I bounced right back into it. It was funny almost, but I think that that's useful because
Mm-hmm.
even I don't even know if that's so much generational, because I super identify with that.
Yeah.
Just getting yourself comfortable with like that kind of
Yes.
contact and creating trust that way. And
Yeah.
um, I would say, I think that's like one of the best parts about social media that is overlooked a little bit from a stylist perspective, is it does allow you, like if you can get comfortable making like eye contact with that camera,
Yeah.
people feel like they've had eye contact with you already when they sit in your chair, and they come in with a higher level of confidence and trust with you.
Mm. Mm.
And a lot of times you get to start out on that same place that you would be on like appointment 2 or 3. It's like
Interesting.
starting out on the third date,
Right.
Wait, let's get the hand holding out of the way. We're gonna be making out.
Yeah, that's so funny. We're gonna get to third base. That's a good point. Yeah, so like looking into the camera is hard when you're first figuring out how to do this, which is funny. As I'm saying this, I'm like hyper aware of it.
I know, right?
Yeah, but yeah, I almost feel like so I'm not a touchy feely person in my personal life either. Sorry, there's something in my eye. Except for my kids, obviously. I'm like
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
slobbering on them and they're like,
I know.
Mom, get away from me. But like you can ask any of my friends growing up, like I am just not like super huggy and touchy and lovey. And like I won't say no. If someone comes in for a hug, I'm not gonna be like, ooh, get away from me, but I'm not gonna initiate it usually. Whereas when I step into the salon and I put on my like professional crystal hat, it's like something switches in
Yep.
my brain. And I think I must have learned early on without even realizing what I was doing that touching people immediately makes them relax and trust you, right? And so I very am touchy with my clients. You know, anytime I talk to them, I'm like, I have a hand on them or an arm on them or whatever. Um, Interesting. I haven't thought about this till like right now. And I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, I'm like, how do you coach people to do that online? Unless I could literally just show videos of like how to touch people, how to touch
Yeah.
your clients, you
Yeah.
know?
Like, I think that that's huge
Gosh.
because just like, but also like if you've, and it's so funny. Like you forget what it's like to be a client.
Mm-hmm.
I went with this was years ago. I went with my grandma to get a shampoo and a blow dry. And like the touch was not confident
Right.
from the very beginning. Handshake. I mean, she started out with a handshake,
Mm-hmm.
because we had never met, keeping it like very professional. And I was just like, oh, well, she's not a handshaker, you know?
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, she's not really like a shampooer.
Huh.
And it was all very timid from the
Yeah.
very beginning, which honestly set my expectation from the very beginning very low. I did not
Mm.
have high expectations of what my blow dry was going to be about. I
Right.
mean, it
Right.
kind of came true. It was,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Because she's if yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. My wheels are like spinning right now because I'm like, yeah, obviously like the way that you present yourself physically and touch people is probably a what's the word? It's like an indicator of your confidence. And so if you don't want to be like that guy that shakes people's hands. It's like, oh, nice to meet you, and like comes in
you're
breaking their
like,
hand.
you
That's a
need like a
little
chiropractic adjustment.
yeah, no, we don't need that. But like confidently, like, hello, I am here and I'm not going to be awkward. I have
Yeah.
something to give you, right?
Yeah. Or even just, yeah, like for me, it was the touch on the arm. Like
Yeah,
that's what it was for me. Like, and that helped me settle into the appointment too.
yes,
It kind of, I'm like, okay, because you feel how like are they receptive to your touch? And it just kind of, but I had to learn it. And I learned it as an adult,
mm-hmm,
you know.
yes, yeah.
I had to really learn it as an adult. I was like almost 30, I think, before I felt like I kind of even got a good handle on it,
Okay. I know
you
for
know?
me, like beauty school was probably the eye opener for me. My beauty school that I went to was like a local community college funded beauty school.
Yeah.
And they had partnered with the senior citizen like housing development down
Oh,
the street.
yeah.
And so we had our like regulars that came in, for their shampoo blow dries, including the men. They came in and got like pedicures and stuff. And like they melted the second I would touch them. They all did, right? Like
Mhm.
for a manicure, the second you touch their hands, they're like, oh, that just feels so good. Because they're
Yeah.
old and they don't really care about saying things out loud. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like us, we might be like, oh man, that feels really good. But we have like our inner thoughts about it. Whereas they're just like, moaning in the shampoo bowl and you're like shampooing them like, oh my god, am I really having this effect on someone? And they're just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's where I figured out like, okay, I gotta lean into this because this
Mhm.
person immediately likes me and trusts me
Yeah.
more. And like to circle back to the client shaming behavior, I feel like when you enter that like no trust with someone, you're probably not going to shame them. They're going to appreciate you and value you, and it's going to be a better relationship as a whole. And so I wonder for these people that are struggling with like how to behave with their clients, maybe they need some coaching on touching, and like trusting behavior with their clients.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that, like it's just kind of anything. And, when I talked about I didn't get it into my 30s, I was skating on technical talent alone.
Yeah.
Like so I wasn't even trying. Honestly, I wasn't even trying with the other stuff. And yeah, I just decided that like I just got to get over this. Because I saw the relationships that other stylists were having with their clients, and I was like I would kind of like that to
Yeah.
not feel. I would like because it comes back to you,
Right.
right? Like whatever energy like you give to somebody, that like goodness from them,
Mm-hmm.
it comes back to you like more.
Yeah.
Like so if you're feeling physically drained, and this is a physically demanding job, wouldn't it feel nice to get like a little bit of like spiritual, like energy boost from the person? Like they didn't take all, but
Right.
you technical stuff, you're never gonna get it back.
It's funny.
It
I
doesn't come
actually,
back.
no, yeah. I had the like opposite trajectory in my career where like I think I was surviving off of my people skills and my social skills
Yeah.
before I had the hair skills,
I
right?
tell everybody, nobody's coming to you for good hair because I see
Right.
so much bad hair. I've
Right.
worked in salons with stylists that were booked. They were like frying everybody's hair. I'm like, those highlights were not great.
Right.
They're no, I don't want to be too critical, but like
Right.
that's not healthy.
Right.
It
Right.
didn't matter. Their people loved them and they
Right.
were glowing, and writing these effusive, like beautiful reviews. And I'm sitting here thinking, don't they know? No,
Right.
they don't. And they don't care
And they
because
don't
they
care.
really loved how they felt sitting in your chair.
Yes, yes, because I think it all comes back to like we are service providers, and most of the service that we are providing is like human connection.
Yeah.
That's why we don't have robots that do our hair. You know what I mean? There could be actually. I saw a video. It was probably in like Japan or something of this
I saw it.
the guy getting the haircut with the robot thing.
Yes.
So creepy, and he looked so uncomfortable. His head is like poking out of this little thing, but I'm like, oh shit, look at that. There's hair cutting robots now. But they're never gonna blow up because people want those connections. So I think as
It's
long
like
as
the massage chairs or like
yeah,
the water massage thing that they have
yeah,
like at places. No,
yeah,
people
not
want
the
the real
same.
thing.
No, you want hands on you because there's something like spiritual about it, like you were
Yeah.
saying. There's like an energy transfer. So I don't know how to bring that message to everyone that's lacking that, but my God, we need it, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating. Well, I think we covered everything and this was really awesome.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, we should do this again once you have your stuff launched. You know what we should do? I'm gonna use your product and your system, and then we'll come back in like 6 months, and I'll be able to talk about how amazing it's working for me.
Sounds good.
Because I'm blowing up like crazy. I think that'd be great. Cool. Okay. Well, unless you had anything else to add for that. Oh, I'm gonna ask you. I didn't even bring up your business name, so
Oh,
tell
yeah.
me who you are on social media, your business name, and where people
Yeah.
can find you.
So it's 40 volume marketing, just kind of. So I chose the name because it was like 40 volume. First of all, it's like people feel a little afraid of it, but it's what you, as a seasoned stylist, it's what you reach for when you need to get the job done.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you just
So
don't have a lot of time.
for anyone that's not a hairstylist, 40 volume is a strength of developer that we use in hair color that's like slap you in the ass, get it done quick kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, it's a wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
Down and dirty. Yeah.
Yes. I love it. So it's 40 volume marketing. Sorry, cut you off.
Yeah, no. And so it's at 40 volume marketing, just all together, no dashes, no spaces on Instagram. It's pretty much the same content on Facebook as well. I would say Instagram. Instagram is where to find me.
Okay. Are you on TikTok also?
I am on TikTok. I don't know.
Oh, what about YouTube? I know you mentioned YouTube Shorts. Have you done any of those? Are you on? Okay.
I haven't done it yet. I keep thinking about it and then I get sidetracked. So that might be a Q2.
Uh-huh. Okay, so 40 volume marketing on Instagram. Do you have a link to like a website with like an email waitlist or opt-in or anything?
Yeah, right now, if you go to 40volumemarketing.com, it's a wait list for the 40 volume marketing salon formula, which is the course. And right now when you sign up, I'm going to get this wrong. I think it's 65 caption prompts.
Ooh,
or
nice.
Or caption templates, 65 caption templates.
Wonderful.
That you get when you sign up. So
awesome. Love it. I will put links to that in the show notes for the podcast as well. So fantastic, Macy. Thank you so much. And I know I'm going to talk to you in the meantime, but until next time on the podcast, we'll see you later.
All right.
Okay. Thanks. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, friend. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Your Hair Mentor podcast. It has been my pleasure to be here as your host. Again, my name is Crystal Green. And until next time, my friend, as I always love to say, have a wonderful hair day, and I'll see you then. Okay, bye.